Hey Woodhaven family, and welcome back to the Journey 24/7 podcast. This is Chandler here with you again. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. It is so good just to be back here with you for another week. Today we're going to be jumping into Genesis chapter 36. Now this is one of those chapters that if you've already done your reading for today, you know it's pretty much just a straight genealogy. And a lot of times these, when we're studying them initially, are not going to be passages that we just come away with this huge, life-changing principle that we need to apply to our lives. That's just not what's going to happen a lot of times in these genealogies. Now, I'll tell you that there are a couple of them, a couple genealogies that we'll read where it is like there are some really just incredible things right off the jump that stand out to us that we can take and actually have some application points to our lives. We'll see that in the genealogy of Christ that we'll study when we get to Matthew. But this is one of those where it's most likely going to be most beneficial when we're studying other places in Scripture. And we see a name that we need to figure out where that name comes from. We can know that because of a genealogy. So if you read this today and you're thinking, what am I supposed to do with this? It's okay to think that. It's okay to wonder that, because when we're looking at this, we see a lot of names and it's really difficult for us to wrap our minds around it. So it's okay if you're feeling that. Even on the podcast today, I don't have a lot sitting here just off the cuff to talk about with it, because it is more helpful when we're studying other places. But there are a couple of things that I want us to think about before we wrap up today. And the first is that we see at the very beginning of this genealogy, it says, these are the generations of Esau. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites. And we see here that he took 3 wives. Now, I know you probably know what I'm about to say because I've said it a lot and you're probably tired of hearing it. But remember, this is descriptive, not prescriptive. And the reason that I'm saying that so much as we study some of this in the Old Testament is that we have to make sure we have that distinction between the Lord telling us what happened and the Lord telling us to do something. And I know for us it seems obvious that we should only take 1 wife. And it is obvious. But we need to make sure we pay attention to it because, 1, there may be some other times where maybe it's not quite so obvious. But 2, there is this wild belief out there that's not common by any means, but it is out there, that people think that the Bible actually speaks into us having multiple spouses because of some of these stories. And it's just important that we are ready to defend against that and say, no, that is not at all true. We are called to have 1 spouse and that is it. And so that's why it's important for us just to recognize this each time that we see it. Now, I'm not going to literally say it every single time that we talk about somebody with multiple wives, but we do see it as kind of a main narrative at times. When we do, it's important for us just to remind ourselves that there's times where Scripture is just describing something and not prescribing it. Because we also know there's lots of times where Scripture is prescribing ways that we should live, and we want to just make sure we can tell between the two. Now, the one other thing that I just wanted to bring to our attention is this is really where we wrap up the story of Esau. This is where the narrative of his life kind of just fades out. And like I said last week, tomorrow we'll be picking up with Joseph. So remember, we went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Now we'll be going into Joseph and his life, with still some appearances by Jacob as well. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. If you've studied the Scriptures before, you know there's a lot to the life of Joseph that's just going to be really exciting to study together. And I'm so ready to dive in that with each and every one of you. So thank you for joining. Like I said last week, thank you so much for just continuing to push through some of these chapters that are a little more difficult, a little bit harder for us to get a lot out of right away, because there is value to it, and the Lord is teaching us at all times. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I am so looking forward to getting back here with you tomorrow as we jump into Genesis chapter 37.